one-stop shop for wrestling talk. We're talking champs v contenders, rookies v vets, and shoots v works. I am your host, the Triple Crown Champ. Let's get into it. Okay, the champ is here, and I'm back like another left. And today we are talking about AEW 4-hour edition of Collision Fyter Fest. So let's get into it. So this was a video I didn't think I was going to make, quite frankly, but I was so impressed with the product. I've said before that I don't think AEW necessarily tells the greatest stories. That is why I watch WWE more. I enjoy the wrestling on AEW TV, but I really gravitate to the storytelling that is done on WWE TV. Now, I'll say that I believe AEW has somewhat fixed this problem in recent months. I've been watching the product, and the product seems to have gotten significantly better, especially with stories being told by people like Tony Storm, for one. It would turn out that there are other people on the roster who are very good at storytelling, every bit as good as they are at working in the ring. This is maybe a talent they didn't necessarily have during their period or time at the WWE, and some of these people have never been in the WWE or never found any fame in the WWE to speak of. So therefore, it's a very interesting moment where the best wrestle, something they keep saying, and at the moment, I think it's actually true. The best do wrestle in AEW, but now they're telling excellent stories. So that being said, I feel like the top of the show, Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is finally that guy. You know what I mean? Will Ospreay is a bigger character. He's moving into the sphere of full heavyweight, competing for the AEW title or thereabouts. And I find that very interesting. I never thought the character itself would get over because the character was not a character. It's him. That is him. That's how he speaks. That's his tonality. And I don't think that's something that would necessarily carry across the world. But his talent has spoken through. We all know how good Will Ospreay is. Come on. So, and I think in his promos, he speaks no lies. He is that next star. He speaks no lies. He speaks honestly down the middle about every competitor he comes across. And he gives no quarters, yet he is very respectful. That is a line to toe, especially in wrestling. And I think he is one of those stars of AEW at the moment. When you talk about Moxley, when you talk about Tony Storm, when you talk about MJF, I think you have to start talking about Will Ospreay in that general sphere. That's something I've noticed for probably about a year. The internet, the viral clips, a lot of them are Will Ospreay matches and things he did that was just incredible. And now that's stretched over to the sphere of promos. Will Ospreay, huge star, AEW. Let's see what happens with that. Let's see where it's going. Let's hope the storytelling continues to the level it has been. Let's talk about Mark Briscoe versus Moxley, John Moxley. Now, interesting match. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. Two bruisers, hard hitting. And I felt like we obviously knew what the winner of this match was going to be. The AEW champion can't exactly lose, even if the title's up for grabs, because the winner of that match becomes a contender. And again, he's a ROH wrestler. Ring of Honor is Mark Briscoe. So there's enough people in the sphere of heavyweight to compete for that belt. So I don't think it needed Mark Briscoe. However, Mark Briscoe is always going to put on a fantastic match, fantastic wrestler, fantastic aesthetic, fantastic gimmick. He is just on point on all levels. Love that wrestler and love the fact they spoke about his gimmick being able to go all across the world, just as it is, just as he didn't have to modify it for Japan. He didn't have to modify it for any other areas or districts that he went into. Because he's such a proficient and professional performer, despite the look of him is probably the complete polar opposite of that. So I enjoy that, and I enjoy him as a wrestler. I did write that. I think he really likes to bleed, though, doesn't Mark Briscoe? Like, really likes to bleed. It's crazy. We've all been watching wrestling for a very long time, I would hope. So we know when a 3 count is a 3 count. Ref, you suck. That was a 3 count. Mox got beat. We know he did. Whether somebody made a mistake, whether somebody failed to get off of their shoulders when they should have, Moxley. Listen, if you botch the move, you botch the move. It is what it is. He botched the move. It was a 3 count. I know you had to keep kayfabe, and you know that in the script, Moxley was supposed to win, but that was a 3 count. Ref, you suck. So and I've purposely stayed away from Googling the answer to this question. I I feel like I'm watching Mystical, and Mystical moves exactly the way Sin Cara did. I feel like Mystical is Sin Cara. I feel like WWE might own a name and he can't be Sin Cara anymore, which is weird because wasn't Sin Cara a comic book character before he was signed to the WWE? He was like a famous wrestler and he was a comic book character for kids. Uh, and that's why the WWE acquired him. Or was that simply a story and a lore that the WWE made up? I didn't know a lot about Sin Cara before, and I've not heard anything about him since. What I will say is, Mystico looks exactly like Sin Cara, like exactly like Sin Cara, and I've saw him in the ring, and he moves like Sin Cara. So I'm wondering if Mystico is Sin Cara by another name. I might be wrong about that. Please let me know if I'm wrong about that, by the way, because I think a lot of fans of AEW and a lot of fans who watch Mexican wrestling, AAA, or whatever the wrestling production may be out in Mexico, that they may know the answer to that. But something tells me that that's one and the same person. I might be wrong. Hey, let's talk about Jalistico, Roosh, and Beast Mortos versus Kevin Knight, Commander, not really that important. I know they picked up a victory. Kevin Knight always looks good. I think Commander is. I mean, the mask gimmick always throws me a little bit when it comes to wrestlers, Mexican wrestlers, luchadors. Um, it lacks a bit of personality. I know the story and the legend of the mask is supposed to make up for that, but the impersonality of not being able to see someone's face is something I've never generally really liked. I'm not the biggest fans of masks because of that, the unknown. So for me, I guess mask work is not necessarily the biggest and the greatest thing that I love. So I can't say too much about that, especially Mexican masks. When they are masked with different yoke, depending on how they're built, I can take it. Maybe Japanese is not necessarily that bad in some cases, but generally I don't tend to like it. I will say that Roosh was an impressive wrestler, like really just impressive. Beast Mortos is, I mean, that's all the character and the work. Um, but I will say Roosh is absolutely impressive and every bit the star they seem to be making him out to be. So interesting to see if he's acquired by AEW in the future and goes along to do great things. So if you like the content, please hit like, subscribe, comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know your points of view on some of the things I've said. Until then, hit the notification button. Let you know when I'm uploading next. And until then, I have been your Triple Crown champ. See you next time.